Hi everybody. Here's another list of rapid fire Q&As. Did a couple of them yesterday and there's just a bit of a list that I need to get caught up on here. So just gonna jump right into it. As per usual, nothing that I'm saying should be construed as medical advice. This is for informational purposes only. If you need medical advice, please talk to your healthcare provider to get that advice. So the first question is, it says, my kids and I have tick-borne illness from the past. We also have mold sickness and long COVID. Tea tree oil is supposed to be helpful for mold sickness. I heard tea tree oil is not good for males because it can produce phytoestrogens. Do I know if this is true? So I don't use tea tree oil orally in my patients. I just never really have. I don't really know why. I guess I can't remember if maybe I heard at one point that it's maybe not the best thing to take orally for this, that, or the other reason. So I don't have any clinical experience using tea tree oil orally. Actually, maybe that's not entirely true. I think maybe the product Biocidin has some tea tree oil in it actually, but it's a proprietary blend and you just never know what the concentration is. So is it, one drop in the entire 30 milliliter bottle? I'm not sure, but I haven't used oral tea tree essential oil, so I'm not sure about that. For what it's worth, there are a number of different oral essential oils that can be used orally. Essential oils are very strong. It's generally recommended to use them under the guidance of a healthcare provider. But that's about all that I can say about the tea tree. So I'm going to move on to the next one here. Then the next question was, are there any liquid tincture biofilm disruptors? I don't like pills. After a mold illness, I have trouble swallowing. Yeah, that's a drag. Trouble swallowing difficulties. Had many patients with swallowing difficulties over the course of time, and it's really inconvenient. My heart goes out to the folks who have trouble swallowing. So not to get too hung up on semantics, a tincture specifically is generally an alcohol-based extract of a given substance, typically an herbal extract. So I'm not aware of any tinctures that, well, actually, I guess I shouldn't say that. There are tinctures that are phase 1 biofilm disruptors. When I think of biofilm disruptors, I usually get a little hung up on the phase 2 because they're so much stronger. But there certainly are phase 1 biofilm disruptor herbs. Basically, any herb that has an aromatic component to it, so something that kind of has like a really spicy, kind of like pungent type of smell to it. Say thyme, oregano tincture, clove tincture, any kitchen spice basically in tincture form. Sage would be an option, basil would be an option. Those are all tinctures that would have phase 1 biofilm disrupting properties to them. In terms of phase 2 biofilm disruptors, I'm not aware of any of those being available in a tincture form. Or quite frankly, I believe there is liposomal EDTA, which I mentioned in the last video that I have not used personally, like I haven't prescribed it in practice. I'm not really sure how well it works, but that would probably be in a liquid if I had to hazard a guess. And in terms of other sort of liquid phase 2 biofilm disruptors, well, silver hydrosol is a phase 2 biofilm disruptor that comes in a liquid. Generally speaking, though, well, one of the reasons I wanted to answer this in video form instead of just typing out a quick answer is because I wanted to mention that for folks who are having, for my patients who do have trouble swallowing, we can take pretty much anything that's in a capsule and put it into a liquid form. We can open up the capsules, pour the powder out, and mix it into food or liquid or whatever it happens to be. Some things are not tasty. Many things are not tasty actually that are in capsules. Some things are not very soluble at all. But there are, but it is still feasible to take these things without needing to swallow capsules. So it's something that I run into a lot with, well, the majority of my young pediatric patients, but also with a number of adult patients who have trouble swallowing. And there's a couple more here. So a question about, do I do DTPA chelation for gadolinium? Toxicity, I presume, would be the end of the question there. So gadolinium is a heavy metal. Gadolinium is something that folks are exposed to when they have an MRI done with contrast. So it's always, I don't know, just interesting, it's maybe too strong of a word, but it's of note that when patients get their heavy metal testing done, we do provoked urine testing for heavy metals. When the results come back, sometimes we'll see the gadolinium's just sky high, and so we'll go over the results and say to the patient, oh, like you had an MRI in the last year or two, and like, how did you know? And we probably talked about it previously. It's like, oh, I can see the gadolinium still elevated. That's pretty much the only reason that I ever see gadolinium being elevated. Gadolinium toxicity or health issues related to gadolinium, to my understanding, are quite rare, but it is something that does come up from time to time. So if a patient says, I've just never felt well since I had that MRI, it may be related to gadolinium giving their bodies a hard time. So I have not used DTPA as a chelator. If memory serves, I don't think that naturopathic doctors have access to DTPA specifically in most regions, but for gadolinium I've used EDTA because to my understanding that has a binding affinity for gadolinium as well, but I have not treated many patients with gadolinium issues historically, but treated some. And those are all the questions that I pulled up. So thank you for submitting the questions. If anybody has any questions about any of these topics or anything else, don't hesitate to comment in the post those questions in the comment section below. Sorry, folks. Another long day, a little bit mush-mouthed here. Anyways, I hope this video is of interest, and I'll leave it there for now.